guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Niko and I'm going to show you how to decorate and style a coffee table based on its shape. And then also I'm going to give you tips on how you can choose items for styling your coffee table. So I'm going to give you 2 overarching guidelines that we can use regardless of the table shape. These are guidelines just to help you while you're styling your coffee table. So the first overarching rule is going to be to keep 1/3 of the outside perimeter of your table free for usable space. So this is in case you come by and you want to place your drink down or you want to place your laptop down, that you have the space on the outside perimeter to do so. You don't want your coffee table to be too cluttered so that you can't actually place a mug down if you need to, or a drink or whatever. You want to keep it looking nice and elevated and put together but still functional. And the second overarching rule is to play with asymmetry. So things tend to look a little bit more interesting when they are grouped in odd numbers, but also when they are placed in a way where they're not perfectly symmetrical. Especially if your coffee table shape is perfectly symmetrical, so something like a round table or a square table. Keep these 2 principles as you're choosing items and how to style your coffee table and where to place these items on your coffee table. So I wrote down some tips how to style the 5 most common coffee table shapes. Okay, so let's get into it. First, we're going to go with a round coffee table shape. We're going to keep 1/3 of the outside perimeter free for usable space, so you can place a drink down if you need to or whatnot. A round coffee table is perfectly symmetrical. We're going to want to balance out the curves of that table. I would suggest to put 2 round shaped objects and 2 square shaped objects and place them diagonally across from each other. Okay, so now for the styling part of this. For the 2 square shaped objects, I would choose 2 coffee table books that you really enjoy. And then for the circular shaped objects, you could do something like a round dish or a round bowl that's kind of fun to look at and decorative. The second object could be a vase with flowers. And little tip, try to choose a vase that still looks nice even when it doesn't have flowers in it. So you can always keep it on your table and it doesn't always need to be filled with flowers. The next shape that we're going to talk about is a square shaped table. Again, you're going to want to keep the outside perimeter of that square shaped table free for usable functional space. And since this table is also perfectly symmetrical, we're going to want to balance it out with a little bit more of a random arrangement of objects. So you could do something like 2 square shaped objects and 1 round object, and then a little bonus item. For the 2 square shaped objects, I'm going to do 2 coffee table books. I'm going to turn one of the coffee table books 90 degrees. Just makes it a little bit more uneven and interesting. And then for the circular shaped object, you could do something like a large vase or a large decorative ceramic pot. And then for the smaller item, you could do a candle, even like a small decorative little souvenir that you got from your travels. The next shape of coffee table that we're going to talk about is a rectangular shaped table. So again, we're going to keep the outside perimeter of the space empty. If you have a smaller shaped table, I would use 3 styling groups, and if you have a larger table, you could add another 2 styling groups. Okay, so we're going to go with the medium-sized shaped coffee table with 3 styling groups. So I'm going to choose 2 square-shaped objects and 1 round-shaped object. Instead of placing the round-shaped object right in the middle, we're gonna play with asymmetry and put that object on one of the outside edges so that it doesn't look perfectly centered. And then for the objects, you could put a nice coffee table book in the middle. The circular-shaped object can be like a nice decorative vase. That would be on the outside edge. You could have something like a decorative tray, which is also really functional. You could place your TV remote, your phone, or your watch or whatnot. So it's still like a functional piece. So the next type of table that we're going to talk about is an upholstered coffee table. So if you're using an Ottoman as a coffee table. For an upholstered coffee table, I would definitely use a tray on top of your table so that you can actually place things down. And your upholstered Ottoman is also going to be used for seating. Choose a big tray that has handles on the side so that it can be easily removed whenever you need to use it for seating. When you're choosing the tray, I would choose something that's in the same shape as your table, just so it blends a little bit nicer. So whatever shape your Ottoman is, I would have 2 of those styling groups as the opposite shapes. If your Ottoman is a circular shape, I would have 2 of those objects be square shaped. And then vary the sizes between these 3 objects just to add a little bit more interest. The next shape of coffee table that I'm going to give you tips for are for the nested coffee tables. So those are the ones where they usually come in groups of 2 or 3 and they vary in levels and they're usually grouped right beside each other. So one big tip for styling these types of coffee tables, so I would use the largest table out of your group as the decor table and then use the smaller table as the functional table. We have nested table that comes in 2. We're going to have 3 styling groups. 2 of your groups are going to go on the bigger coffee table and then 1 of the styling groups is going to go on the smaller one. On the smaller one, I would suggest, since that is kind of like the functional table, having the one item on that table be something that can be really handy and really usable. So something like a big dish that you can place items in, or like a decorative tray or plate. On the big table that's going to act as your kind of decor table, I would suggest choosing kind of one round object and one square shaped object. You could have a coffee table book and then like a big candle on top of that one. Having a candle on that big decorative table, if you ever want to like move around the table, you don't have to worry about having that candle fall over. You can just move around that smaller table instead. Next, I have just a few little styling tips to help you as you're decorating your table, regardless of the table shape that you have. Okay, so the first tip is to layer objects within your styling groups. What I mean by this is if you have a big square tray as one of your styling groups, add a little candle on top of it or add dish on top of a book. It just adds a little bit more interest. I would just suggest keeping it within the styling group so it doesn't look like there's a big pile of objects, that it still looks styled and intentional. The second little tip is choose an object that's going to be your focal point. This can either be in the different sizes of your object. If you have a big, beautiful vase on top of your coffee table, that's going to be your focal point. If you have something that's like a sculpture, like a ceramic pot, that's going to be your focal point on your coffee table if that's like the largest item. You can also kind of create a focal point doing this through color. If most of the decor items on your table are neutral and you have one item that really is like a pop of color, that's going to be your focal point. People are going to look and focus at that book. So this tip just helps when people walk into the room and walk into your space and see your coffee table, they're going to have something to look at and not be almost overwhelmed by all the objects on your table. And the third tip, use the objects on your coffee table to create a cohesive style or design. If your couch is a certain color, let's say like an olive green, then maybe tie in that color on your couch with an item on your coffee table. So maybe choose a book that has the same tone of green as your couch, or choose to put some greenery in the vase that you have on your table. Having the same color within different objects in your space kind of help tie in the style in your space. Use this color kind of consistently in little pops throughout your space to kind of help things all just tie together. And one last thing, when you're kind of choosing objects or you're going out to buy decor items for your coffee table or for any part of your home actually, I would just suggest choosing items that feel meaningful to you and that kind of showcase your personality. You don't just want to fill up your space, but you want to fill it with pieces that actually feel meaningful to you. If you have certain hobbies, try to place items around your home that kind of showcase your personality. Don't just choose generic coffee table books that you see on Amazon, on Pinterest or Instagram, but choose coffee table books that are actually interesting to you, and anything from like an artist that you're interested in, anything that just showcases your personality. So those are my tips on how to style your coffee table based on its shape, and then also some generic tips. I'm gonna leave some links in the description of just a few objects that I think would look nice. Leave in the comments if you have any more questions about styling your coffee table or any other design related questions. So I hope those tips helped, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.